Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the live stream. Hope everyone's ready for another exciting week of trading. As I mentioned last week, I'll only be live streaming on for today, the morning and afternoon session, and then I'll take vacation for the rest of the week. But we will return next Monday for a full week of trading, just as usual. Yeah, news first one in. Good morning. How's it going? Robin, good morning. Sorry, just cleaning my glasses here. We'll get started in just a moment. Let's, a few more people join. Hope everyone had either an exciting or very relaxing weekend. Maybe both. I took a peek at the calendar earlier and I could see that we're going to have a busy week here. I'll go ahead and remove my face there just so we can see. Today at 10, we have new home sales being released, which is medium impact. But then following, that's all our news for today. But then Tuesday through Friday, there's high impact news each and every day at 8:30, with the exception of Friday where it comes at 10. But also like tomorrow, there's high impact at 8:30. There's medium impact at 8:30 and 9. There's high impact at 10 with another medium impact at 10 as well. So it's 5 different news events tomorrow between 8:30 and 10 o'clock. So that's one you want to be careful with trading the morning session. Wednesday, it's a little easier. It looks like there's only 8:30 news, but then there's this G20 meeting all day. The same on Thursday, where it's the second day of the G20 meeting. But you also have core PCE and unemployment coming at 8:30, and a few more items coming at 9:45, 10, and even 1:15 p.m. where there's an FOMC member speaking. So this week is littered with news events. So make sure you're keeping yourself up to date on when it's going to be announced, and then also whatever the results are. Make sure you don't get caught in the middle of a trade without being aware of what's going on. Right, let's get back over. See who else is in. Chuck is in. Good morning, Chuck. All right. Let me get started with looking at the dollar. I did put up my weekly projections in the Discord this week. If you go to the folder that has each of the different indices, so there's a NAS 100, there's S&P 500, also there's a US dollar folder. Each of those folders contain their weekly outlook. I put that in yesterday, just before the opening bell. So if we look at the dollar, basically, as we concluded last week, so the last couple of weeks, we had these pieces of buy-side liquidity, these areas of buy-side liquidity we were looking at. We saw price break them for the last 3 weeks, actually. And all three times, it would retrace and still close below the liquidity levels. So this week, what I was looking for, especially with last week closing, right above this BISI fair value gap here, what I was looking for was for price to trade below and stay below the BISI if we're going to look for lower prices. We can't let this fair value gap here hold price because what we also have is on the sell side, there's a SIBI sell side imbalance buy side inefficiency right here, which is also a fair value gap. And so because of it, what I'm looking at is now price is kind of trapped in between these two levels. And that's what we've seen the last 2 weeks. So it took out buy side liquidity, but it would also always close down low, which created this. It did the same thing, took out buy side liquidity, closed down, took out buy side liquidity, closed down. So I'm looking for price to trade below and stay below and start seeking lower prices. But the only way for that to happen is for this fair value gap to not hold and to be invalidated. So far things are looking good. From the opening bell until now, it's already traded below. But we'll see if it can stay below and not trade back above and get back up to these buy side liquidity levels from a few weeks ago. Right. And so because of that, since we see price in between these two levels, we do need to be careful this week because it seems like it can go either direction. And whenever you can make a case for price to go either direction, it's probably not good trading conditions. So just consider that. All right, let's take a look at ES. So on the indices, it's been kind of a similar story every week now. It's like every week we're taking out the previous week's high, which the previous week's high has been the all-time high for the last 3 or 4 weeks. So we've been, for the last month, we've just been looking at new highs every week. And what are our targets? Where are we aiming? That kind of thing. And so for the indices is really boiling down to now looking at standard deviations and looking to see where could price go, right? If you look at the most recent price leg down and you end up with one standard deviation here of 52.44. That's what we're looking at right now as the next price point. There also could be a mid-level in between these two that price trades to in the interim, just because getting to the next standard deviation point may take several days or may take several weeks, just really depending. Okay, and so what we saw on Friday, and now this jogs my memory. I remember drawing this up on Friday and saying, okay, maybe in the interim it could trade to the middle of these two, half a standard deviation and one full standard deviation above. And that's exactly what it did on Friday. It peaked through this level here and then close just below. And so if we're now looking at price to continue its bullish trend this week, we're moving towards the 1 standard deviation. But again, that's 140 points away. So that may be a little steep for 1 week. So we may get something in between. You know what? I'll leave it there. Let's jump down to NQ, and we essentially have the exact same thing here. Except we're much closer to that standard deviation point on NQ. It's only at 18,159, so we're super close to where that level is. It's only 150 points, which can be done in a session. So I'm not really worried about that being a price target. However, since we are so close to it, if we do reach that target, we need to be nimble at that point to be sure that we're checking the dollar, as we were looking at the dollar could go either way, up or down. If we touch this level, especially early in the week, then we could be in for a retracement. So then you want to pop over to the dollar and see if the dollar is starting to look bullish. Just make sure the dollar is remaining bearish throughout the week as you're looking for higher prices on the indices. And also, as we mentioned before, when we looked at the calendar of all the news being announced this week, make sure you're aware of those news events when they're being announced, what the results are, and then how you think it could impact the dollar, which ultimately impacts our trading on the equity market. Right? I think we finish this up fairly quickly. Granted, that's the weekly. If we go down and start looking at the daily here, we can see there's a nice fair value gap here that was created just last week. Bullish one. Right, so we could see a retracement here where price could find some sort of footing, some support, and then we could push higher. We did break this high on Friday, right? And it price pulled back into the range. And so we'll see if it wants to trade into what was the mean, if it wants to trade to mean threshold of this candle, which ultimately gets us to close to 50% of this fair value gap. So we'll watch that if we see lower prices coming, understanding that it doesn't mean that we're selling. It just means we're doing a little internal range retracement. And let's see if there's anything on the, nope, more of the same. Okay, yeah, so we had a small retracement for, looks like a week roughly. Yeah, we have a close above this swing high here with this candle, switching us back bullish. So on the 4-hour, we are currently bullish after having a few days of not being. Here on the hourly, same thing. Broke the high over here with these highs, switch bullish, as well as up here. Nice retracement into the fair value gap. Good reaction out of the fair value gap. Let's now see how this reaction continues and whether we push towards 18,122, which was the high that was broken last week. All right, that'll do it for our little market recap this morning. We'll get ready for the opening bell, which is coming in just a couple minutes. You know what? Let's take a peek at our session high since we're here. I forgot the Asia session just doesn't work right because of Sunday. It still does that. All right, so Asia highs have been taken. It starts at 8. Yep, Asia highs taken. Asia low is, yeah, Asia low has not been taken because it would have been here. Oh, actually it did. Yep, after, so London took out Asia low. So the only thing open is the London low. London high also was taken. Let's see, it was made at 2 o'clock. It was taken here around 4. So yep, so we just have the London low to speak about, and then we'll see what happens with the New York session. Let me just get these off the screen so it's a little cleaner. And then here's the opening bell in 10 seconds. All right, so now at 8:30 in the midnight open are in their proper position. There we go. Okay, fair value gap is on the 15-minute, which is good. All right, Fred, Tommy, good morning. All right, my friend from Uzbekistan is back. There we go. All right, so we had a fairly large range here on this most recent candle here on the 5 minute, but a big rejection from 18,050. Still waiting for price to settle and define its opening range. It usually takes the first 30 minutes to define its opening range. Only 7 minutes in so far. See if price wants to continue higher or if it's put in its session high and then now it wants to look for some, excuse me, a lower point of liquidity. Here we got, hey Vivian, good morning, welcome. A sniper in a short already, all right. Oh, it was a big pullback there at 9:30, just after. Queen's back, good morning. Take it you're well rested after your London session. Oh, you got the long at 9:30. Okay. All right. Yeah, I saw it take off a couple minutes just before the opening bell, and I was just like, yeah, that's okay. Good job. That's how it always happens. soon as you close your eyes, then the market does what you need it to do. Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, I'm still not as familiar. I spent the weekend back testing, um, looking at different session opens. So looking at the 2 o'clock, looking at 8:30 when there's news announced, looking at 9:30, and just trying to figure out uh, how price moves when those things are announced. And so I spent most of my weekend doing that. It's looking really good actually, but I didn't have a chance to practice a lot of change in state of delivery. Hmm, okay. Yeah, I was trying to incorporate those opens as with the breaker strategy. So I'm still looking for breakers, just trying to see if I can find them for me during those time periods. Okay, sniper using RSI to find confluence. Okay. Yes, definitely. If you haven't already, go ahead and like the stream. Like the stream. Let's see if we can get our numbers up early and get more viewers in to watch the live stream this morning. More downside today. Okay. Well, that could work out, sniper. Actually, definitely. Still looking bullish for the week. There's not that there's a real target there other than the standard deviation, but there's no real reason not to still be bullish. But as we know from the power of three, it makes sense for either Monday or Tuesday or both to be moving in the opposite direction. So you just might have something there, sniper. Miss Healthy, good morning. Hey, Ray, good morning. All right, I do have a fair value gap down at 17,983 on the 1 hour. It looks like it's trading to the 8:30 open again. Will it reject or will it trade through? Oh, okay. Yeah, right now it looks like we're sort of stuck in between either following the trend of Friday or fighting against that downward momentum that it had and pushing against those prices. Right now it looks like potentially Friday's momentum will continue, but we'll have to wait and see. But the bearish fair value gaps on the 1 hour, we have two, one around 18,020, another around 18,040. Both of those are holding price. You can see it down in the lower left hand corner of the screen. Two bearish fair value gaps that are positioning uh, failures for the 1 hour candle. Right now, it looks like we may have a return to the midnight open along with the new week opening gap. Reminder, new home sales at 10 o'clock. In 10 minutes, we'll have new home sales numbers announced. The medium impact news event. Right, we are also in a macro period as well. So let me drop down time frames. All right, so not close so far. Well, not close. So far, we have not retested the 830 open. We can make a short-term high here, see if we reach for the low. Yeah, I'm gonna wait till after the news to see how it goes. Right now, it's just, we had a swing up and then a swing down, so I'm gonna wait. You know what? While we wait, let's check out the comparison chart here. Just see where we are in price action for everything to this morning. Yeah, see the dollar. We started out looking at dollar, and I was happy that it was trading below the BISI, the bearish, I mean the bullish fair value gap that it was sitting at, and now it looks like we're probably above that level now, charging back up towards those buy side liquidities that were taken over the last several weeks. So this is not what I want to see on the dollar. However, I do see it's trading towards bearish fair value gaps on here on the hour. So hopefully it finds some resistance and starts pushing for lower prices. We do have triple lows. So that's also a good sign that price will want to return down here to take out that liquidity at some point. So that's likely what's happening now. It's either going to find some resistance at this fair value gap or the one just above. My guess is then we'll see lower prices maybe into next hour. Let's see. Yeah, see, we don't have our indices in sync, which is probably why we see the price action we see. But if you look, this 1 hour candle, this is yeah, it's about what we're seeing. We saw a big run up, retracement, big run down, retracement. It's still looking bullish to me, even though we did have the low swept there, just because of the previous price action. But I'm gonna wait. Also, we see the S&P is showing bullish as well. We see S&P did not sweep the low, but they both have swept the high. We see the Dow pushing higher as well. So my guess is we're probably still going higher. It's just a liquidity grab, but it's showing Nasdaq being the weaker of the three at the moment. So let's wait till next hour until we have 5 more minutes until the next hour opens. And again, on the open, there will be a news event accompanying that, so we may see a strong candle coming out on the open. So just be careful. Get back over to the other one. Few minutes before the hour. A small little consolidation before the news announcement. Here's the calm before the storm. We'll see where price wants to go, where its first target is this morning. Right, here we are. Right, so looks like it might sweep the low first. Let's look at the results. New home sales 661, forecast 680. So a little less than last time, 20,000 less than forecast. Right. So far, not a strong reaction to the news event. Yeah, definitely wild swing so far this morning. Let's pop up to the 5 minute here. You can see these big wicks to the downside. The prices tried to push lower, swept liquidity to the left here several times, but each time it continues to close higher. Jacks towards the end of the candle closure. We're in the middle of this candle here, so we'll see how this one reacts. This is the opening candle for this hour, but we'll see. Yeah, let's jump over and check out ES and see how ES is performing along the same lines. Let's see. Okay, only one strong wick, like what we saw the other head. We're on the fourth one now. Here on a 5 minute, ES is not created the same. Yeah, the breaker has not been confirmed yet. We haven't had a trade below and close below to confirm the same breaker that we saw on Nasdaq. It's a completely different story on the Dow. Not even close. Let's get back to NQ here. And we see a bullish push now. All those rejection wicks to the downside coming out of the fair value gap. Similar to what we saw in pre-market. Okay, so we did get a test of the 830 open here to the tick. I did reject out of it so far. Let's see if the next candle can push through, which is the current one. I'll leave it here on the 1 minute for another minute or so, and then I'll switch it back over. I just want to see if price can do can move in a bullish direction and close above this 830 open or something close to that, so we can have confidence in whichever direction it's choosing. Right now, it hasn't really selected a direction, in my opinion. All right, the second test of the 830. So we close right at it. The next candle looks like it opened slightly above, maybe a tick in between the close of the previous candle and the open of the new one. Okay, another 10 seconds before this candle closes. Let's see how the 830, how it closes in reference to the 830 open. Okay, closure above, but still a rejection candle. Let's get back up to the 5 minute now. Yeah. Yeah, if we just look at price action since the opening bell, since we've been watching it, it's like these wicks doesn't give me a lot of confidence towards taking an entry. Not only is it giving a lot of fake outs where it appears to impulse and then retrace back, but like where do you place your stop? Yeah, the AM session, at least today, it's not good. Nope. Yeah, I'll wait for another 10 to 15 minutes before trusting the market. It seems like it still needs to figure out a few things, and the indices are not in sync right now. So in the meantime, I'm going to run and refill my coffee. I'll be back momentarily. Price hasn't really moved very much. Still testing at 830 open, piercing above, retracing, closing below. Don't worry, Vivian, you'll get there. You will get there. It's the same problem I'm having. Okay, I forgot that now it is 10 o'clock. Let's look and find the session highs and lows for New York. Okay, clearly we have a New York high here. And we have a low. Right, so we have the London low open, we have the New York low open, and the New York high. It looks like price is actually moving now. Looks bullish and bullish. 15-minute looks a little cleaner. Okay, maybe next we'll be looking for the New York high. I know on the lower time frame we had roughly equal highs in that area. See, yeah, you can see here on the 2-minute equal highs. Sure, I'm assuming it's the same for the 1-minute. It is. We'll just sit on the 5-minute still. But we can see the New York high and low were created by the opening bell, which is not abnormal for the opening bell to give us a range for price to trade into for the morning session. Okay, we got a new 5-minute candle here. We'll see if you can take the high from the previous, which is relative equal highs with the 935 candle. And let me just check also and see if we've already traded into 50% of this wick. Not quite. It came within a couple ticks, maybe a point of it. But I would consider that close enough to be completed, where it would need to come back just to grab a couple more ticks. In this case, I would think it's going to trade past 50% and maybe all the way to the New York high. Okay, looks like maybe it's not ready to get up there just yet. Another minute and a half on this 5-minute candle. Closure coming up. Another 40 seconds. Yeah, so far, yes, price still is not giving us any candlestick patterns that'll give you any type of confidence in current price action. All right, let's go back to the comparison chart and just see if we're now in sync or how things are structured. The hell? Right, we see NQ pushing higher, but not really in sync with any of the other two indices. They're both seeking sell side liquidity now at the moment, or at least some sort of internal range. And we see the dollar being indecisive at the moment, back at its starting point of the hour. It did make a push up through the fair value gaps above it, but it has rejected those levels already. All right, there we go. So similar to what we're seeing, right? See it stuck in between two fair value gaps, opposite ends, just playing back and forth. So we don't see that on the other two indices. Maybe that's why they seem to be a bit stronger. But we have the same thing on the dollar where it's playing in between bullish and bearish for value gap. And right now, price has not decided which direction to go. So yeah, definitely be careful this morning while trading. If you don't see an A plus setup, may be worth sitting on the sideline as a minimum until we start seeing these things sink back together. And hopefully it can do that this hour, but right now I can't say. So let's continue being patient and wait for price to give us a sign that it's starting to iron itself out and stop doing what it's doing now, which is just delivering wick after wick after wick. About 14 to 15 points away from the New York high. Like there's another test of the 8:30 open coming. Yeah, Queen, it seemed like it's set up here on the 30-second. So not even the 1 minute. Provided a breaker that you could use that you would have liked the way it looked. But this 30-second look the way that you would expect a breaker to look is just getting comfortable and familiar with the 30-second chart. All right, let me get back over to the 1 minute here. Yeah, news is really that driver. That's the one that kills us. No, I haven't. But I did see that that's what Cammy used to stop doing New York PM. He said he was taking more losing trades during New York PM than he was London and Asia, so it was better for him to trade the other sessions. But no, I haven't looked to see where I'm winning and where I'm losing. I should probably I should definitely do that. Yeah, yeah, that's true. I think I would say even in my AM session wins, I'm more likely to win a trade between 10:30 and 12 than I am prior to 10:30. Because what I found, even when I had, this is just going off of memory, I end up spending the latter half of the morning session trying to recover from the first trade loss that I would have. So that 10 o'clock, 10:15 entry, for the most part, would be a loss for me. And then 10:45, 11 o'clock, I'm looking for another entry trying to um, not necessarily avenge the previous loss, but get myself back into the market after taking a loss. And for the most part, I'll end up breaking even or so, but I'll spend the rest of the morning session or even the rest of the day um, digging myself out of that first loss that I take. So that's one of the reasons why you rarely see me take a trade before 10 o'clock. It's just I need for price to settle, and I need just my own eyes. I need to see price for a little bit before I actually jump into a trade. But man, this is not inspiring at all. And right now, Nasdaq is the only indice buying, and it's buying by a huge margin, but the other two are selling by the same margin. I see now why. I always wondered why some of the long-standing traders always avoided Mondays or avoided days that didn't have high impact news. And I always, because I was always able to find a 30, 40 point winner, and I felt like that was enough. Um, but I guess for the seasoned traders, that's not even worth their time. But I do always hear them talk about staying away from Mondays and staying away from non high impact news days. Mm. Mm. Yeah, you're right. It was November 2021. Then December kind of consolidated a bit, and then January, I think the first day of the year or so, um, flirted with those highs, and then it just the bottom fell out. Yeah, I did have a long on my demo account. It was on in a different screen, but no, it stopped out. It stopped out in profit, but it didn't. I thought it was going for the New York high, and of course it didn't, and it's retraced a couple times since then. Okay, didn't realize we were already in the next macro period, so it's in almost 10:55 now. And what we're looking for is a run to the New York high during this time period. So we've already sort of swept the high over here. We also had a deep retracement down into at least mean threshold of this candle here. So that's why I'm expecting price to run to the high here, is that it's just retraced back and hit all the different levels it needed to hit, the liquidity points in this price leg. So it most likely will just run to this high, and then we'll see where it goes from there. I mean, it could also reject it and run to the lows. I mean, okay, HDS, yeah. Yeah, I got in somewhere down here, and it was making good progress, and on its way down, I put a stop loss in, and it came and ate it up. I wonder if also we have a slow morning because of how busy news is going to be for the rest of the week. We got to remember last week we had a holiday on Monday. There wasn't any news on Tuesday. We did have high impact on Wednesday, Thursday, but then there also wasn't any news on Friday. So we basically 3 days last week without any news. This week, there's plenty of news coming on each day. So that could be why today is either consolidation or sort of seek and destroy conditions, and then maybe next the next few days or for the remainder of the week, we'll see price moving towards liquidity targets each day. Mm, yeah. Here in this frame, we did have this low swept at 1050, 1024 to the downside. We saw a return back into the range, but unable to take out the high. Saw another retracement back into the range. Again, unable to take out the high. And so it just keeps doing this, but it hasn't taken out the high yet after sweeping this low, right? So it swept down and now it's just rejecting out. Hey, Splash, good morning. Oh, higher time frame. Sorry. Sorry, Vivian. Didn't see. All right, I have another sweep of a low here, even though it still has not taken out the high. Just swept another low. Okay, we'll look and see how price reacts at the 8:30 open now. All right, while we wait for the remainder of the macro period to conclude, I'm going to run and get my last cup of coffee this morning. I'll be back in about 2 minutes. Yep. Okay, so we closed out the last hour with S&P and the Dow selling off quite a bit. And so we'll see what this hour brings. Hopefully they're a bit tighter correlated, and so we can see better price action. But I mean, if you just look at the 10 o'clock hour, we had a small sort of run and then just sideways consolidation for the remainder of the hour. Still have not taken out the New York session high. We did, well, sort of test off the 8:30 open, not really. But we did trade above it and was able to close above and stay above. It's now coming back down to retest it. We're still in the macro period. So we're looking for liquidity sweeps or maybe some indication of a change in direction. See if maybe this breaker from the 32nd will stay in play. So far, we have 50% of the fair value got traded to. Let's see if that's enough to propel price higher. Hmm. 8:30 open again. Let's see if it can close above. Got another 30 seconds. We're in the final minute of the macro. Okay, we did get a closure above. Let's get back up to the, I was going to say the 5 minute, but it's, there we go. Let's move these markers. Yeah, I know, right? Right. Relative strength and NQ. It's been a few weeks since we've said that. All right. Deepak, good morning. All right, A Dot, good morning. 1 hour CB candles all below. Okay. Hmm. Good to see now if we run the New York high. I know considering this morning's activity, it's a bit ambitious, but I'm still optimistic that price can get up there. And almost 2 hours without much movement in price. All right, let's see what this looks like on the 1 minute, just so we can see how comfortable we are with price right now. All right. So we had a shallow fair value gap created here, for which price traded back into, even through, but we saw the body stay inside. Even though it's on the 1 minute, it still seems to be holding. So it seems to be strong enough for price at the current moment. We'll see if it trades back down, then maybe it won't hold. But for now, it looks like it's held and it actually gave us a pretty nice impulse candle there. Still need to break these highs. Okay, so highs have been broken now. Let's see if this gap stays open. $18.30 is the next high to be broken if we can get up there. There are a couple of bearish fair value gaps right here that it's trading into right now. So that would be the hold up in price. And I say, let's see if this fair value gap stays open. So let's see how this candle trades. And still 20 seconds left without a push up. Okay, it did tap inside of that fair value gap. A little deeper, even deeper on this candle. Mm-mm. 18.010 DPAC. Okay. That's okay, right at the low of the fair value gap. Let's hope it holds up. Last time it did hold up. It appears below it a little bit, but the candle body's all closed inside. Yep, so we currently have this one. Antibodies have stayed above equilibrium, which is a good sign. And we now have taken out the highs of the previous two candles. Let's see if he can take out that swing high from about 4 candles ago. All right, so it looked like this fair value gap's also going to be traded through. We'll see where it closes, but so far it has been traded through. Close inside. Not always. Sometimes I'll trade more than one contract, but I do like to lead with one contract. Sometimes I'll add in a second, but yeah, I like to go in with one. Mm. Okay, let's get rid of these. All right, let's check on 985 and a quarter as a potential landing spot for price action. Mm. All right, well, at least we have all three indices sort of correlated right now. They're all currently showing bearish candles, while the dollar was showing bullish candles. Mm. 830 open again. Traded above, closed above. Now it's retesting that level. Let's see if it holds. All right, Tommy. Yeah, it looks like the PM session is probably going to be a better session for us. We only have 30 minutes left, and we all can see that so far it hasn't delivered anything. In fact, it hasn't really even traded out of the range it's in. It's been in a 40 to 50 point range the entire morning. So good practice and patience. Yeah, you're right about that. Everyone gets exhausted during 11 o'clock, and then you walk away from the computer for lunch, and then it runs for 150 points while you're gone. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, don't over leverage yourself because you won't be doing your heart or your body a favor for that. Mhm. Just realized I've been sitting here on the 1 minute for quite some time. Let's get back up to the 5 minute. 15 minutes. Hey, let's see if price can continue to push upwards after taking out this swing high. Yeah, you're right, Vivian. There's uh no entry for this morning. In fact, it's just one of those moments where you just learn what price action looks like when you're not interested, and so you can um, identify it a little earlier, a little quicker, and then move on to something else. But I do appreciate you all staying on with me, even though price action hasn't been favorable this morning. Is this going to be the candle that runs? The 1 minute, it could be. Mm. No, it fell short. I thought it had taken out the previous candle's high. Hey, let's bounce over and see what's going on in ES. All right, ES is down into the London levels, sweeping lows down here. We see very similar wick action that we saw on NQ as well, where it's even if you were short and you thought you wanted to get into a short, it's like where would you enter? And if you did, would price always retrace back to your entry every time? So yeah, it's been difficult price action this morning for sure. Okay, I think we actually just had a high made on NQ. Let's go back. Not necessarily a high, but it did take out the high of the previous candle en route to these equal highs here. Okay, triple highs. See these going first as a pool of liquidity, followed by the New York high if it's able to get up there. Oh yeah, I'm happy to hear that, Vivian. Definitely. I've been known to force trades myself, but yeah, I'm trying to be better and not jump in trades that aren't favorable, that only meet part of my criteria, or there's some other external factor that's making a price action not favorable at the moment. Like now, when things aren't correlated, even if I see my setup and things aren't correlated, it's just not a good idea to get in. So yeah, I'm definitely learning that myself as well. See if we can't get these triple highs. Okay, there it is. 18,041 and a half. Okay, New York high is next if it wants to reach that far. Yes, starting tomorrow. Yep. So this afternoon will be the last stream of the week. Yeah, I'll miss you guys too. I definitely will miss because I doubt I'll trade at all. I may get up and look at the markets a little bit, but I'm not sure I'm going to trade because I'll try to have a good time and not sit by the computer. But don't worry, it'll be short lived, as vacations always are. I'll be back before you know it. All right, so we're going to take New York's high now, or is it going to wait for the macro in 8 minutes to take the New York high? Hmm. Okay, you're going to trade on Discord? All right, go ahead. I guess any of you guys can lead it. I'm not sure how that even works. All right, so maybe we'll wait for another 6 minutes before taking the New York high and wait until it's in the macro period. Let's go down to the 1 minute. I think, yeah. So we have equal highs right here. Okay, So it just made a new high by just a tick, it looks like. Let's see if it keeps pushing. It's 30 more seconds on the candle. I'll be right back. Gotta take a bio break. Give me a second. All right. Okay, so it's retracing now. So we didn't take that high. See if you can make another attempt and get up there. So we took out the high of the last candle. Still not willing to get up there. All right, now we're in a macro period. Let's see if it runs New York's high now. Yep, macro time it is. There it is. All right. Absolutely. All right. So I was waiting for this to happen. And once it concluded, then I wanted to point something out that I noticed. All right. So the first thing I'm going to point out is this spot. Okay. Second area to point out is this one. Okay. And the third area to point out is this one here. All right. So get rid of this one so it doesn't confuse anyone. All right. So I have three areas marked up here. And the reason why I marked them up is because I was doing back testing yesterday, and it was what I was looking at is I was looking at every session, looking at where the entries were with a breaker, whether it was a unicorn or not. Sometimes it was just a breaker without the fair value gap. Other times it was the unicorn setup. But I was looking at when did price change direction, and it didn't always have to be like a big swing. It could just be a retracement, right? Or it could be coming out of a retracement back to continuations. But either way, what I was noticing is that in a lot of cases, price using the macro period to make structure changes. And so usually when I'm looking in the macro, I'm looking to see, okay, is there a market structure shift? Are we going the opposite direction, or are we breaking structure? In this case, what we found is the first macro from 950 to 1010, we confirmed the breaker. We confirmed the bullish breaker during the macro period. Just after the macro period, so at 1011, it gave a couple entries, 1011 and 1015 into the unicorn. If you wanted to take that consequent encroachment as an entry, or if you wanted to take consequent encroachment of the breaker, that also was done at 1011, right? So that's outside of the macro period. But then if you go to the next macro period, which was 1050 to 1110, it made another entry, gave you the exact same entry with zero drawdown, consequent encroachment of the fair value gap. So the unicorn setup, tapped it perfectly to the tick and started moving away, right? So this was the 950 to 1010 macro. It confirmed the breaker. 1050 to 1110 macro, it gave the entry. And then the following macro, 1150 to 1210, it delivered profit. The take profit was delivered. So I started noticing that it used the macro period it uses to run to the levels that most of us are expecting it to run to. Now, it doesn't always return back an hour after confirming the breaker and then an hour later deliver the profit. But you can just see that price will kind of, I don't know, I guess the best way to describe this, but anyway, The macro periods is when you should expect for certain levels to be hit, depending on where you are in price and what the objective is at that time. And so it's just something that I noticed. And then here we are again, the first day back into live trading, and the same thing is delivered where the macro periods are becoming key time periods for things to be delivered. And as ICT always teaches, he always says it's time and price that are important, with time being the most important factor and then price being secondary. And here we can see it again. The macro time was the important period for things to happen. Then we look for where does price need to be. Your lunch from Friday, okay. Here we have a lunchtime high at 1864.5, and that is from Friday. Yeah, I'll leave it there until we come out of the lunch session, and then I'll delete the New York high since it's no longer relevant. We've already reached it, but I will leave it there until afterwards. We have lunch session coming up. We still have the lunchtime high from Friday still out there. As Ray just mentioned, it's about 15 points above where we are now. All right, everyone, that does it for the morning session today. No, it didn't. Wasn't very eventful until the very end there, but I hope it was still a learning experience for many of us, especially those that are new to trading or within the first year. Plus, all of us that have been around for a little longer, still gaining that discipline to be sit on our hands when price conditions are not favorable, but also able to learn from it, and then also hopefully pointing out the fact that the macro period on 3 consecutive macros. So it took a 2-hour period to first confirm the breaker, next to give the entry, and then the third macro hour delivered the take profit. So yeah, this morning was still informative, and for me, I'm coming off of my back testing session this weekend. This is more confirmation that I was headed in the right direction, and probably need to continue that just to strengthen my ability to see this setup. But I'm happy that the back testing session was not an anomaly, and price action does really trade like this regularly. So that'll do it for the morning session. We're going to take an hour break, and then we'll come back this afternoon and we'll do another session, and then we'll close out our week. I'll head out on vacation, and then I'll catch you guys next Monday. But 1300 this afternoon, we'll be back. Cheers, everyone. Take care.